Hello and welcome to Resource Report, where we share with you important information about local nonprofits and resource organizations that support the community we share, produced by Pathways to Agency.
I am your host, Rainmaker. Today's guest is the Executive Director of New Horizons Tiny Home Community, previously known as Quixote Village. I met with Colleen Carmichael in New Horizons' Olympia location. Here's Colleen. I am here with Colleen Carmichael with New Horizons, also known as Quixote Village, in Olympia down Mottman Rd. How are you doing today, Colleen?
Excellent. Thanks for having me today to talk about these subjects. It's really important.
Oh, you're welcome. It is so important. So can you reintroduce yourself and your position, and how did you come to be here?
Sure. My name is Colleen Carmichael. I'm the Executive Director of New Horizon Communities. I started a nonprofit back in California, so I moved here from California. And when I was in California, before I moved, I started an organization called Reach for Home, which was a church-driven volunteer organization that got turned into an actual full-fledged 501c3 nonprofit agency. And we did homeless services from outreach all the way through permanent supportive housing. So that kind of gave me my background, and I knew how to build relationships, which is most important. Fundraising will come from that, but it's really important that you get to know the people that are in the community and work together to figure out what's the best solution going forward for this. So that didn't scare me. The pandemic, more from the mental health standpoint, because everybody was already fragile that we were dealing with. And that just added another layer. What I didn't was the community at large to be struggling as much as they were with mental health. So it really just shed a light on the fact that everybody needs some assistance. Everybody needs some method by which they can get help. And the more we destigmatize that and the more we educate people on the options available, then that's what's going to make it even easier when pandemics or administrations or anything change, that we have a way forward even in the most difficult and challenging of times.
For sure. Yeah, and destigmatizing, that is like, to me, the biggest barrier to homelessness.
Yes.
Is the stigma.
Yes. And fear.
And fear.
I think that there's so much fear being pushed by certain groups that when I speak, oftentimes it's questioned, what's my motive? Do I want to continue to keep this going? And I said, if you knew homeless service agencies, you would know that all of us wished we had some other job to do besides the job we're doing. When we start acting as if they are not human beings, and also when we start saying, well, they did this, so therefore I don't want to help, that's a problem to me, because it's not about what another person does. It's about what you want your legacy to be. And who do you want to be as a human being? When there's someone struggling in our community and you can find a way to help, that's what we're built on as human beings, is coming together in community to help each other. So that's what this is about for me. Homelessness is an effect of people not getting the right wage for their jobs, of there not being enough affordable housing, of there being systemic discrimination. All these things are playing into why we have homeless people right now.
Yeah.
What gets called to attention is the drug use and the mental health. And I'm trying to explain to people, you don't go out to the streets like that. You go out to the streets still thinking you can manage this. But the trauma, the stress, the opinions of the public drag you down into a darkness that sometimes the only way you could help yourself through that is by numbing that pain.
Yeah.
But it's not what everyone scripted, which is, you guys use drugs, then you went out to the streets, and now you just want handouts.
And then that gets reinforced in the message.
Correct.
In your subconscious.
Correct. So we really want to take time to share the stories of the people that we serve, the trauma and abuse that they have survived in their lives and on the streets, and make people really understand that the bottom line is the best place for people to be is housed.
Yeah.
So it's a basic need. We can meet it once we all decide that this is a priority for our communities. we can get this done. I know we can.
Once your needs are met, then you can start the healing journey and move forward in your life.
Correct.
And so many people it's just unfathomable to me how people just don't get that.
Yeah. You want to lead with kindness, empathy, and understanding. That's the way change happens.
Mm-hmm.
When judgment and fear take hold, nothing gets accomplished. So I try and hit two different perspectives because there's a whole group of people who really don't believe these people deserve to be housed.
Yeah.
And to those people, I speak in economic ways. And I say, are you aware that it costs $35,000 for a person to be out on the streets versus $17,000 to house them? So if you truly don't feel that these people are worthy of our time and attention, why are you paying double for keeping them on the streets? So that's how I speak to that population. And then we have a group of people who really care, who really want to make a difference, who really understand why we do what we do. And those are the people I try to get to go out and find places for us to speak or to go and talk to the legislators and let them know what is happening. Those are the people that often form friendships and relationships with the people who are on the streets so we can get their message out and get those stories shared. And that's really how we can bring those two worlds together. Because I think at the end of the day, nobody really wants to have people living out there like that. Even if they say it online or in other sources, they really know that that is wrong.
Yeah.
I know that people know that's wrong.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to get past the shame, misunderstanding, because I always feel like there's something going on in their lives that they don't want you to know about. So it's easy to cast light on somebody else when you feel ashamed and you feel as if your life isn't on the path you thought it should be. So I'm trying to say to those people, we're here for you.
For sure.
We're here for everybody who is in need of some kind of help, love, value, to be seen, to be heard. And even the ones that are most challenging for us to deal with in the communities when I go out and speak in public. I know I have to hold space for them also because they have something within them that is causing them to be hurtful. And we have to truly try and stop judging everybody and start figuring out, what does this person need? Why did this person come into the meeting discussing it this way? And be curious about it. And by having a curiosity about it, instead of a judgment about it, then we start opening up conversations. Then we start figuring out ways together. Because if you think any one of us is the expert on how to figure out the homeless population, no, it's going to take everybody working together. Am I telling you that everybody has rose-colored glasses on here? No. There are people who have left here that are very unhappy that we didn't house them. There are people that have worked with us that have left that for one reason or another didn't feel like we were doing what we could, all we could. But I say when you put the burden of that on one person or you put the burden of that on one agency, no one's going to succeed. No one agency, no one person can do it all. It's got to be all of us together. So it's just one of those things that you either called to do it. I feel like I've been called to do this work or not.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not, that's okay. But please help support those of us who do.
It's a struggle to help people learn self-awareness
Yes.
and understanding.
Yes.
And the most important thing, empathy.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people, due to their own wounds, who just do not have the necessary level of empathy to see this.
Right.
And speaking to those people through numbers can often yield better results.
Yeah. That's why when I go and speak in public, I try and bring data with me.
Right.
So most people hear about housing, they hear about, minimum wage. But when I talk to them, I say, the minimum wage is this amount, but a living wage is much higher. And you can't afford rent in this area if you're getting paid minimum wage.
What?
And I don't think they understand how many employers pay minimum wage. They think, minimum wage is just for college students who come out. I said, that's not what employers are paying. Majority of employers are paying minimum wages because they can. And so if you're working as a waitress somewhere, or you're working as a barista, or you're working in retail, you're going to be working 2 jobs right now. There's no possible way you can swing this on one job. And if you have children, when are you seeing your kids? And so it's just creating this whole snowball. And I'm like, and then I also hear nonprofits can't afford that. I said, that's not true. Our nonprofit pays a living wage. So I know you can. You have to have the will and want to do it. And you have to be really out there with your fund development and trying to get people to understand this. But it is possible. And we have to stop saying it's not possible.
Yeah, words make a difference. Thoughts become things.
Yes.
Words become reality.
Yes.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the actual Housing First program.
Yes.
And what is unique about that and its structure, and perhaps even some history on how that began.
So one of the things that I've really started talking about is Housing First. And the reason why I'm talking about Housing First is because there's a threat right now to pull funding for permanent supportive housing projects. It's a real threat. Actually, the amount of funding has been greatly reduced. I think it was 30%, and it's going down to 10% for funding. This is what people need to understand. In the 80s and 90s, people were not able to stay housed unless they complied with the rules, right? So, but during that time, homelessness skyrocketed. So studies started being done about why was this happening. And one of the studies that came out was Housing First. And Housing First was offering people a place to stay with no expectation that they were going to do anything as far as immediate stopping in usage, all the things that go along with it. Housing First was used then, after years of studying it, as the new model, because they found that when you tried to force people to comply with something, when they're on the streets and they need that assistance to numb the pain, it wasn't being effective. So a lot of agencies switched to the Housing First model because that was showing the most success. Now there's a wave to say, no, let's go back to transitional housing, and let's go back to you must comply with the rules. Otherwise, you don't get to stay. I'm telling the public, we already did that. That was the 80s and 90s. If you'd like to look, there's a bunch of research available for anyone. Out to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, and you can find data. Go to SAMHSA, find out what kind of data they have about this. So it's readily available.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there was 26 studies done in the United States and Canada, 26 verified studies that have shown that permanent supportive housing is the fastest way to end chronic homelessness. So it's not like I'm making stuff up. There's been so many studies done that it makes you question, why would we want to go back to a state of costing the taxpayers more money and being even less effective?
Mm-hmm.
And I also try and explain to people, homeless services is like this. Let's say you are a person who is managing a house. Like the owner owns the house and they've given you this house to manage for them, okay? But to start with, you know that the house has about $250,000 worth of repairs needed. But you know what? You take the house on anyways, right? Because you think, I can try and help with this. But every year the amount of repairs needed on that house grows, but the owner keeps giving you less and less money. Until finally, pipes burst, the roof is failing, and everyone in the public is looking at you as the manager of the house saying, you suck. You're not doing a good job. And I, as the manager of the house, am pointing to the owner going, I'm sorry, but the owner's never given me enough money to actually do this well.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with homeless services. If the funders and the people in charge don't give us enough money to ever really do an effective job at it, then it'll look like we're not doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
The reality of the situation is if you only give a solution 50% of the funding it needs to be successful, how are you going to be successful?
Mm-hmm.
In instances when they've done that and they've given the funding, I'll give you an example, Mason County. They didn't have any housing for homeless veterans. We came in and put 30 units of housing for homeless veterans there. Guess what? They're at functional zero in Mason County for homeless veterans. Functional zero, what does that mean? It's a big term. It means for the amount of people that you have coming into the system, you are able to exit that many people. So it's a net zero. That's what functional zero is. So it can happen. It has happened. But when we start leaving facts and data and going to emotionally based decisions, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's a bad way to manage the economics of something. And if you're a person who's in an elected position, your role there is to make sure that your counties, cities, states are economically viable. And you do that by making sure you put investments in things that are going to net the most for you. And permanent supportive housing for chronically homeless individuals is the best and most effective way to get them housed, period.
So this is in the United States, but there are other countries such as Finland, yes, that all have the housing first.
Correct.
And
I studied them. They're
yes.
exceptional. There's a lot of cities and states.
Finland is just great about many things. Like
they take care of their people.
Yeah, they do. And that's a stark contrast. And then looking at that, what is the difference? It's like, there really is an agenda against homeless populations that have mental health issues in this country. It doesn't make as much money to help people, in a sense, when you have people going into the prison industrial complex.
Correct. It's $31,000 to have someone in jail. I actually had an elected official say to my, in a recorded meeting, she said, I think it's better if they're in jail because they have a roof over their head and they get fed. And my response to someone who says something like that is, you know what? We can do that for them also. And it's at least half the cost. So, and guess what? When they're with us, that doesn't go on their record. They can go rent other places because they don't have that mark against them. And then when they leave jail, by the way, just FYI, when you leave jail, there's not someone sitting out there in a car waiting for you, taking you to a house that you can live in. You actually go back to being homeless again.
Most of the time.
So if you don't understand that dynamic, why are you not trusting the people who are doing the work? Why are you not investing in people doing the work? Because the more you do that, we have all the data. The counties, the cities, the state, they have the data to look at. If this isn't a mystery, they can see who's doing it effectively and why it's working so well. The only reason we have recovery based here on our site is because the residents of Quixote, which started this agency, wanted it to be that way. They wanted people to work programs or be on some kind of decision or process to get themselves off of substance, if they need it, by the way. FYI, not everybody that comes here has that issue.
Yeah.
But their way of saying it helps all of us support the people who are. And that's what they're about.
Yeah. Let's have a brief history of Quixote Village. Erica, how is it now? The history and then where we are now.
I think most people remember Quixote Village. It started as Camp Quixote in the middle of Olympia. So when I speak to people in the public, I say, if you wonder when you drive by an encampment what good can come of that, come on over and see any one of the 3 villages that we have. Because that started from an encampment. And those people gathered together and got the assistance of 10 faith-based organizations, then for 6 years, until we finally got this first village built. And now we have 3 villages. We have 2 that are veteran-specific. That's in Orting and Shelton. We have this one, and of course, we're always looking to add new ones.
Is Shelton and where?
Shelton and Orting. Orting is on the Soldiers' Home campus.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are just some of the ways we want to grow and expand. We have been looking in different areas. We had hoped to expand another site here in Thurston County, but that hasn't been shelved for this time. So yeah, I mean, we're in a very challenging environment right now for housing in general. Affordable housing even more so. Again, it's just lack of education and trying to make people understand what's going on. When the fear-based show up for the meetings, but everybody else, the general public, does not. All the elected officials here is the fear. So I'm saying to your audience, you have to come and help support with data. We have to come and support with successes. Because if fear is the only voice we're hearing at public meetings, then that's what drives the decisions. And there's a lot of people that don't show, the majority of people who don't show, the belief in the work that we do, the belief in what we're trying to accomplish. And I really strongly encourage people to show up and do the 3-minute comments during the public comment about why the data supports doing this kind of work, because that will help overcome the fear. And every single time we have built a village, without fail, the public shows up and says, this is never going to work. There's going to be drug, there's going to be crime. And in every single instance, that has not been the case. And in fact, our neighbors are proud to have us next to them. And as in the case with Shelton, they now come by and bring us baked goods over there. Oh, wow. This is the same group that said there's no possible way we're going to be able to have this in town. So it's normal to have pushback, but we need people to come and say, actually, I live across the street from this village, and we have had absolutely no challenges. In fact, they've been really exceptional neighbors. So that's the kind of thing that we need to have happen. And when that happens, it quiets it down. We also say, contact the police departments. Please, we ask you to do that in the cities where we operate. Ask them. Mm-hmm. Ask the city managers in the cities where we operate how we're doing. That's what tells the story. Because if you or I talk about it, they think we're just paid professionals to achieve personal goals. It's like, nobody's doing it for that. We're doing it because we believe in treating other human beings with kindness, empathy, and compassion.
Knowledge dispels fear.
Yeah, and economically, I can't state it enough. Mm-hmm. Housing with services is 50% less than leaving them on the streets.
Yeah.
We survey our residents twice a year because we want to find out that what we say we're doing for them is exactly what they feel. They've been coming with 71% participation, and their ratings are all very high. So, we have the data. I'm happy to share with whoever wants to sit.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, it's just really important to us that we do what we say we're going to do. And then also the data bears that out. So when we have data,
accountability.
Yeah, because it's really important to us that we don't just say that. And there's been road bumps. I mean, there's been programs that we put forward that the residents were not excited about. So we pivoted. We used to try and have mental health professionals come on site, but it only ended up being one time a month per resident.
Oh my gosh, that's not enough.
We created an intern program now. We work with the Evergreen College, we work with St. Martin's University, we work with the University of Washington, so they can bring their college master's level students out here for their internships for social work, therapy, nursing. So they come out here and they can spend up to 16 hours a week on site. Their hours are supervised. Our residents get more help. And we're also building more licensed professionals out for the community.
That is such a great win-win.
Yeah.
And on your website, people can book tours.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're doing all those things that we hope the fear-based crowd will understand and want to be part of. So,
what are the other services that y'all provide besides that mental health?
We also do, obviously, transportation. We have vans at every single one of the sites. So if people need to go to medical appointments or they need to see any other providers or go to the grocery store or whatever, we have those services available. They work with them on getting a job if they are able to do that. Most of our residents are disabled. In fact, that's how they qualify to be here. Mm-hmm. So there's limited ability to work for majority of the people that we serve. But for those who want to and are able to, we find ways to get employment for them. Most are going back to school to try and further their education, which we strongly encourage. There's art therapies, music therapies. There's other ways that they can get their feelings and the way that they want people to understand the story out into the world. So we do those kinds of things on site too. And obviously, there's group meetings here, there's individual meetings. So we do just a wide swath of services here. Whatever the particular resident needs, whatever their goals may be, that's what we strive for. Financial independence, we have different credit unions and banks come out and do financial services for our residents so they can better understand, how do I balance my account? How do I get my credit score back? How do I save for first month's rent and deposit? I don't think people realize if you're paying $1,500 a month in rent, you're going to need at least $5,000 saved if you want to move somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's first and last month's rent, deposit. Plus, I don't know if most people are aware, you have to pay at least $30 for an application when you go to apply to be in an apartment, and that's not reimbursed. So if you apply for 5 different apartments and you don't get them, guess how much money you've spent?
I have strong feelings about that. So that application fee.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. So strong feelings.
It's just another way to deter people.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are all things that we have to work on with our residents. And that's why on average, they stay here about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But then once they leave, they stay stable, they stay housed. We often get them writing us letters saying, I can't begin to tell you how much it has meant for us to have this time together. And I just, this so expanded my ability to grow. It expanded my ability to be employed. It expanded everything in my life. That's what we want. That's the kind of stuff that we feel like, okay, we were able to do that for that person. And it took a lot. Took a lot of patience, took a lot of love and caring. So that's the thing.
You also have gardening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have at each one of our sites. In fact, you can see it when you leave here. We have community gardens, which has been great because it teaches nutrition. It also gives them an ability to do a micro enterprise. So if they want to learn how to can and do other things, that they can take those vegetables and they can also sell them at farmers markets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And in one of our sites, we've actually been able to give back to the food pantry because we have more than enough on site. So
wow.
Yeah. So we try and do things like that too.
That can create such a sense of community and belonging.
Yeah.
Oh,
because we want people to know that the people that we have here are valuable human beings. And it's not they don't want to take.
Yeah.
They actually want to give back to the communities to thank them for what they've done. And they really are grateful. Sometimes it's hard for them to express when they first get here, but they just need
it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then even just receiving praise or just receiving kindness can be so painful when you've been in such a dark space for so long.
And not being hypervigilant, not being like,
Yes, that's one of the first things when you're in survival mode. You're constantly on edge, paying attention to everything, hypervigilant, and that's so stressful.
Yeah, and I don't think people that understand mental health know that when you're out there on the street, your brain is in fight or flight mode, which means your brain can only focus on your survival. It can't focus on, hey, would you like to go and see this person for this need? It just follows through. So people who say, well, I asked this person if they wanted help and they said no. I said, there's many things that play into that. The biggest one is trust, because I don't know you. And if you as just an individual came up to me on the street and said, hey, Colleen, I have a house for you. Do you want to come live with it? I would say no. Most of us would say no. So I find it interesting that when a homeless person is asked that question, the expectation is they're going to say yes. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. But I say to, again, the people that we speak with in the community, if a total stranger came up to you and offered you a place to stay, are you telling me that you would say yes to that? And I don't get any responses.
Yeah.
Because the answer is no.
Right.
So it's just, again, I don't want to judge or have people who are in the community feel as if they are also being judged. I want people to understand that, it's about opening your own heart to people and making sure that they understand.
Yeah. Y'all have recovery meetings.
We do, for those that want them.
Mm-hmm.
So we try very hard to work in the realm of medically assisted treatments or trauma therapies like music therapy, art therapy, because we don't want anyone to feel like there's only one way and this is it. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different means of healing themselves that feels good and safe for them. So we give them lots of options so that they have the choice to do that. And there are some people who don't want to do that when they first come here, and that's okay. They have to stabilize and really get themselves in check. The only time that's not okay is if they threaten someone physically with harm, or they have attempted to harm someone. That's just, we can't. We have to protect the good of all the people here as well as our staff. But that's very rare when that happens. Most of the people just need some time to kind of de-escalate their lives and just kind of get it. And also know this isn't going to get taken away tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
They have a chance to really just kind of settle down. And sometimes it takes months.
It's a process.
Yeah.
You outline how is the space managed and safety rules addressed, crime addressed.
Yeah. So as far as our residents are concerned, everyone signs what's called a code of conduct that was created by the original residents. Everything was really driven by what the residents are saying want. And it was just basically, be nice. Be nice to other people. Keep your behavior in check. Those are the things that really drive this. So you can ask any of the police departments. We're one of the last places they get called. Why? Because we are able to work through issues with people for the most part. And we don't really want to call for something that we know we can de-escalate here. We have the training for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have case managers at every site, 115, just so you know that's who does the management of the residents. And the site supervisors act as a property manager of sorts. They're the ones that collect the rent. But they also have experience in working with the residents. A lot of them have come from the case manager status and been, graduated, so to speak, to a site supervisor. So that's who manages that. The overall organization, obviously it's myself and there's a team. JC Osterberg Brown is our associate director. She actually was the executive director prior to me.
How do they pay their rent?
A lot of the people that we have here have housing vouchers. So they get to do that. If when they first come to us, they don't have income. So that housing voucher will help pay for their rent. If they can afford to and can go to work, they will pay up to 30% of their income, their adjusted monthly income for rent. And then the rest of that is paid for by a housing voucher. So that's how that works. Donations help. Obviously, we have to get private donations.
Mm-hmm.
Funding is getting severely cut across the board for homeless service agencies. So if you have not yet done something and you want to give donations to any one of us that are doing that, you can look at 211. There's a lot of information out there about who's providing services and what. Or just get to know the homeless service providers in your area. Ask questions. Go visit. See what feels most comfortable for you. Look at their 990 reports on the IRS if you want to see how they're doing financially, because I have that question thrown at me a lot. And find out who's being managed well. What are the, who's getting their financials audited? That's also an important question you should ask yourself. And there's a lot of really solid agencies that are working hard to do this job well. So.
What are the eligibility requirements to get in here?
Oh, so the eligibility requirements is the two main ones are that you have to be chronically homeless and you have to have a disabling condition.
Okay, so
That's issue and direct.
Okay.
So we go through coordinated entry. I don't know if most people know. Coordinated entry is a big list. And what they do is they do what's called VI SPDAT, or a way that they rank people, if you will, based on the need. And we get the top of that list. So those are people that have the greatest disability. So you have to be disabled in order for you to live with us, and chronically homeless. Chronically homeless means you've been on the streets for at least a year, or you've had periods of homelessness, I believe, over the last 4 years. So that is what gets people on site here. And we don't manage that list. And the reason we don't manage that list is because we could very well cherry pick who we want to come in here. We don't manage it. The county manages it, and they are the ones who we say, hey, we have an opening, and they send us candidates for that opening. So and they come out and they check it out. They have the ability to decide if this is for them or not. Not everybody wants to be in a recovery-based housing program, still housing first, but there's an emphasis on if you have a substance use disorder that we want to try and work with you on that, whether that's medically assisted treatment, whether it's we have a hired substance use disorder professional on site. So it's talking about what programs you can work and what you want to work, but not everyone wants that, and that's okay. There's plenty of other opportunities for people to live in an environment that works for them. And that's the key, is finding what works for the individual and not forcing them into something because that's what you think is best for them. Because that never works, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work when someone forces you to do something you don't want to do. And people don't seem to understand that, especially when it comes to the homeless. It's like, stop saying they have to do this. If anyone has ever told you in your life, you have to do this, guess what you're going to say? No, thanks.
Well, there's the standard flavor of that. And then there's also they're called PDA, pathological demand avoidant. And that's a whole different level and spectrum of neurodivergence right there. And then you have the other flavors of neurodivergency that do not respond to that kind of thing very well. And that is something that gets overlooked, I think, a lot in supportive services is this person neurodivergent?
Yeah.
Because that really plays a large part into why there are people struggling.
Correct.
And I'm just going to throw this out there. If you go check out, is it number maybe 13, but we did a show, Neurospicy Sisters Autism Coaching.
Oh, fantastic.
That is another episode. And
I'll go look for that.
Yeah, and Alex does a deep dive for us on all things ODD, oppositional defiance disorder, autism, PDA, and she's her and her sister Cheryl have created the Autistic Maslow's Triangle. That belongs to them. It is their copyright. And if you flip the triangle on its head upside down and reverse the order, then you will see that process works better for neurodivergent.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider as well.
I would love to have neurologists speak to the public about what is happening with the brain. Because people tend to believe doctors. And even though you and I have probably studied more than most and researched, Bessel van der Kolk's The Body Kept the Score.
Yes.
That's the first book that opened me into this whole idea about neurology and what happens with the brain when trauma is introduced. I had no idea before. And I think the more that homeless organizations open themselves up to these different methods, like there's no one way that fixes it all. And I know we've used the term almost to a point of exhaustion about trauma-informed care. It's like, okay, that's all well and good in ACEs, but like, what does that mean? What are the techniques and tools we need? Not just to be aware that someone's traumatized. Yeah, it's pretty obvious they're traumatized when they get here. What is going to help the person the most? And having those different options and different ways of doing things, I think, is key. And we've, knock wood, had success with that so far. And just keep flipping the script. We keep trying to find different ways. Now, right now, we've been working on a possibility of doing a dog training here. Partnering with an animal service agency and seeing if we can do volunteering for them and also dog training. Why? Because in the prison system, people that are really discarded by society and really have not been understood for being human beings are thriving with having animals involved. And so that's something we're looking into. So we're always trying to find different and unique ways to do things.
Training, is that
it could be
working
behavior
with them to help them train emotional support?
Yeah, could do that too, yeah. So we're just started looking into that. So we're really excited about that possibility.
That's a cool new development.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for that with us.
Okay. See.
Yeah.
Do you work with other organizations?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many. I mean, everyone who's on the list, the Catholic Community Services is on that list. We work with Evergreen. We work with, I can't list all the ones, there's too many of them, but all the service agencies in one way or another. Behavioral health, BHR is a really good help for us, people that really need assistance. We do medically assisted treatments too, so we have that relationship. But it's just housing authorities, obviously, they're the ones that give us the vouchers. And whoever is whatever specific agency is running the coordinated entry system, we also have to work with them. So there's too many to name right now, but we do partner with everybody that we can in Thirsting in the counties that we are part of. So.
I was looking at this article from the Jolt.
Mm-hmm.
The article is about how y'all are not actually going to get the funding for your new community.
Yeah.
So what's going on with that, your proposal for the Carpenter Village?
Yeah, it's on hold.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately, that's just what you deal with. Sometimes we don't have control over that. It has to do with, cities, counties, and they had limited funds, obviously. So it's just, I don't know that it's done. I don't think it's done. I think it's just set aside for right now until they can figure out how the funding is going to be applied. They already had some that were in the pipeline. We weren't even in the pipeline yet. I mean, it was just the beginning of that. So it makes sense that they would focus on the ones that they currently have operating or in construction, because they need to see those through.
And so you feel like that's strictly financial.
Yeah.
And the reason it has nothing to do with more people who are in the position to make that decision having those stigma ideas.
No, because they know us.
Okay.
We've been around for a long time. We've been around since 2013.
That's reassuring to hear that.
Yeah.
You know what's going on in Lewis County with the two commissioners there that want to end homeless funding or reduce it strictly.
Yeah.
Two of them particularly do not understand the facts.
Yes.
And they also carry those stigmatic ideas.
Yeah, and it's up to the public to educate people like that.
It is.
So I'm telling you right now, if you also, run for office, like there's been counties that I've been in that have pushed back and done things that I'm not happy about. And I have gone to the public comment and spoken out against, and we've had quite a few people. But the majority of people coming and talking are the people who are the fear-based people.
Yeah.
And there's something motivating them. I don't know what it is, because it's not economics. So it's hard to see what's going on behind the scenes. But anytime someone pushes back against homeless services, it has nothing to do with economics.
Fear of change.
Yeah. And if you're your role is to manage the finances of the city, county, state that you're part of.
Mm-hmm.
And the most effective way to do that is housing with services. There's too much data out there to refute that. You have no data that you can show me that is going to argue in favor of arresting people, because there isn't any. There's so much overwhelming data for what we're talking about. So then it's, okay, the people who are the most afraid are the ones showing up for the meetings and they're making the most noise. If you, as a concerned citizen, know that this is wrong, I implore you to continue to do letter writing campaigns. That is how civil rights came to be, kids.
Yeah.
People picketed Woolworths. They sat at stools. I'm reading Polly Murray, a book, The Song in a Weary Throat. And it's simply about how her and other students, one of the pages I'm reading right now is they went into diners and they went in shifts and they were refused service. So they sat in booths and they read poetry. They did their homework. They did other things. That act of resistance led to change.
Yeah.
So people think, oh, I don't have any power. That's not true. The marches and protests that are going on, the boycotting of things, you have all the power. They want you to think you don't have the power because then you don't take action. But as far as homelessness is concerned, we have the power to change that. Any one of us can run for office. And if you don't like what the commissioners are saying, run for office.
Yep.
Go door to door, call people, talk to people. Explain to them what the facts are. Invite them to come and join other service providers or come and see the sites. We don't block people from coming in here. Like, do some homework. It's not okay to say, I'm uneducated about the subject. It's not okay anymore. Educate yourself. Understand the facts and data. Then I'll talk to you. But if you're going to refuse to do that and you just live in the fear, I got no time for you. No time. Because you're wasting taxpayers' money. That's all I know. Every person that stands up at a meeting and talks about wanting to arrest homeless people, you are costing us double. That's all it is. You're costing me twice as much as anyone else, and it's just because you refuse to educate yourself on the facts.
Yeah, and another great resource to understand more about all of this homeless situation is directly on your website. There's links on there that, oh yeah, there it is. The tiny houses.
Mm-hmm.
It's a permanent supportive housing model.
Yeah.
It's like a little zine booklet. It's like a PDF, about 20 pages long. That thing should be published.
It's a white paper that was done, and it was done by one of our original founders of this, Tim. And Tim actually wrote it so that it could be a model that could be used for other. And it's actually people have come here from other states. Lots of other states have come to visit us to pick up this model. We talk to people in other countries. So this model has been really well known and established out there. Why? Because it's a much more cost-effective way to build. The only thing is it doesn't hit its density. So if you're in an area where there's not a lot of space and you need to go up, that's also an option that we've been looking and considering, especially in areas where we already have a footprint. Then we can be more dense. We can do apartments or other kinds of things. In areas where we don't have any kind of a credit or we haven't been established yet, the tiny homes are easier to have people digest because they're cute. People like them. It just has like a whimsical value to it, which is fine. We're fine with doing that. It gets the door open for us and we get in. But once we're there, then we can really do whatever kind of housing would be most beneficial to the community we serve. So.
And also on your website there, it's in the FAQ, alongside that white paper, you have a little section there interested in how to start a tiny home village in your community. And then there's some links that you can go to and find out how you can start your own.
Yes.
And there's a lot of different resources around that, and also the history of Quixote Village.
Yeah.
What a sites there, right?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and I think too, there are some tiny home villages in Olympia. And when people drive by, they make their assumptions of what they see. Like if there's, God forbid, there's trash out, or people are not in a state where they're civilized yet. Rather than judge, rather than say, well, that's ridiculous, that's not working. I want you to understand that if you are treated like you are trash by the community, how would you live? Well, you would live in trash. Because if people tell you that you're not valuable and they tell you that you are trash to this community, guess what you're going to do?
You're going to internalize that.
You're going to live in that state.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand there's people right now shaking their heads out there going, oh, God, here they are, those liberals talking about this. I'm telling you what is the truth. I'm telling you that if you're abused and you are told you are not worthy of anything as a child, and then you grow up and those same adults who don't know you are telling you that same message, you are not going to rise above that unless someone really steps in, blocks out the noise, and says, hey, guess what? I see you. Someone's paying attention to you. I'm here. And I'm going to work with you. I can't do the work for you, but I'm going to be here. I hope you accept it. I know there's a big chance you're not going to. But I'm still not going to give up. And I haven't met a lot of the people that we've served. I don't know them. But I don't need to. My role here is just to give to be an example to others in the community who say, there's no way you can do that. I'm like, oh, I used to be a CEO of a credit union. I gave that job up to do a job like this because I knew I was smart. I knew I probably could lead people well. And I thought that's two ways I can use the gifts that I've been given to make difference in the community. And that was not on my radar, kids. I was not a small girl when someone asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't believe the words homeless service director came. I don't believe they did. But find what you're good at and offer it to us. Offer to help us. Yelling at us and telling us that we suck has never been a good way to motivate people.
Yeah.
It really isn't. So just help. And if you can't help, give. If you don't have the time because you've got so many other things going on, okay, great. Send me a $5 check. I have kids who do lemonade stands and bring the money.
Wow.
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
you just like, or they do coat drives. Kids are fantastic. Whenever I've talked to kids, not one of them has ever asked me, aren't they on drugs? Do you make them do this when they come into your place? Not one time. Every single time. They've either written cards for them, they've done a drive where they collected coats, they've collected food, they see me on the streets and they go, oh, there's a homeless lady. They point me out to their parents. I know what they mean, but their parents are probably thinking, wow, she's pretty well dressed for a homeless person.
I mean, the lady helping the whole. Yes.
So it's just one of those things that like kids get it.
Yeah.
Kids get it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should be asking the kids because they get it. It's just when you start growing up and you hear it enough and you hear the abuse enough, you start believing that script. And I'm like, stop believing the script.
And those are some great ways to get involved. And we kind of already mentioned a little bit about another way getting involved, creating your own tiny home village.
Yeah.
But what about how can people donate? And do you have volunteering job opportunities?
We do.
And how can people sponsor as well?
So donating, you simply, when you go to our website, the very first button you see says donate. So just go to our website, which is www.nhcommunities.org. If you want to do any kind of volunteer work, Tamara Engwaldson is the person who is the queen of our volunteers. So it's just Tamara at nhcommunities.org. And she'd be happy to take you on and direct you to a site that can help. But any of the ways that we described, any of the talking points that we did today, any of those ways. I even tell people, look, if you like to golf, do a golf tournament with your friends. Bring 10 of your friends together and say, okay, today, 10% of what we would have paid to go and have food afterwards, go out to lunch or whatever, we're going to donate that to New Horizon Communities. Or I'm going to have a dinner party. And at my dinner party, I'm going to ask each one of my guests to bring a bag of food so that we can give it to a pantry. Those are small steps.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah, I have a friend who likes to do quilting. You know what she's doing? She's sewing quilts for kids that are in foster care. Nobody asked her to do that, but she's good at quilting. So she did something that she was good at, and she gave back with it. Every single one of us has the ability to do something good. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you do things like that, like the Grinch, your heart grows.
Yeah.
It just can't, you can't help yourself.
Yeah.
You feel better when you do things that are kind and helpful to others. It's just the way that we're wired. So just do more of it. And you may walk around singing even when it's rainy and cloudy because you know inside that's where the magic is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to share?
I think the biggest thing that I will tell people, and I tell them when I talk to them, look in the mirror and ask yourself, who do I want to be while I'm here on this planet? And what do I want to be known for? And if the words that come out of your mouth are not kindness, empathy, and understanding, then I ask you to please figure out what you need to do to change that so that those are the first 3 days. in connection with yourself first, and then with others. Because once you figure out the way to love yourself and be kind to yourself, it will naturally flow from you. And that's the most important thing I can say.
Thank you so much for your time, Colleen.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you too.
That's it for today's resource report produced by Pathways to Agency. At Pathways to Agency, we are driven by the belief that everyone should have the tools and support to achieve their goals and thrive in their communities. Our mission is to bridge the gaps in understanding, accessibility, and trust by connecting individuals to resources and sharing information and processes that can lead to personal and community growth. Resource Report offers information about existing and emerging nonprofits and resource organizations. Find out more at pathwaystoagency.org. From there, you can follow the link to our podcast archive and listen to any episode anytime. And check out our YouTube channel. Chaos Radio is not responsible or liable for any views or opinions expressed in the interviews conducted by Resource Report. Till next time, and thanks for listening.